welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, and I have a very special guest with me today, Miss Angela Suggs of Florida A&M University's athletic department. I'm going to let Angie tell you what her title is because she got a lot of words going on there. So Angie, tell us what your title is over at FAMU.
And so I am so grateful to serve in the capacity of Senior Associate Athletics Director for External Affairs.
Okay.
And I'm also the Senior Woman Administrator.
Wow, that's a mouthful. So what does a senior woman administrator in athletics do?
Sure. And so, there's a lot of involvement in terms of gender equity, working with our women's teams who are doing a phenomenal job, by the way. Our softball team just left town to continue their success. Our women's tennis program just were successful against North Carolina A&T, 7-0. Our women's track program and all of our programs, baseball, football, basketball, everyone's doing a phenomenal job.
Excellent.
And so with that, the NCAA has a designation of a senior woman administrator in each of the Division I programs. And I'm honored to serve in that capacity here at our alma mater.
Wow, excellent. So is that a new designation?
It's not. It's not. It's been around for quite some time.
Okay.
And again, some people will say senior women's administrator, senior woman administrator, but it truly, as we say all the time, it's a designation. It's who you are. It's not just working with the women's program, though. It's working with the entire program. And under the leadership of our new Director of Athletics, Milton Overton, and our very new Deputy Director of Athletics, Elliot Charles, I just kind of go in there and, sometimes a woman can see things differently, and the NCAA recognizes that.
Absolutely.
And so all of the perspective that women bring to decision making within athletics, they thought that it would be a great idea to ensure that there was a
good
larger,
balance, probably.
Sure, absolutely, a larger site. I guess if we could say that, that went into the different things that we do in athletics.
Excellent. Good deal. So who are some of your sheroes within athletics, or even on a senior management level?
Sure. Well, within athletics, I have several. Of course, when I lived in your home stomping grounds of Dade County, I worked at the stadium. So I worked at Joe Robbie Stadium. And our vice president for sales and marketing was Lynn Abramson. Lynn is the first person that I saw in sports. It was fun for me, different from a professional standpoint, to work in Miami at the time, because of course there was one owner that owned the football team, the baseball team, the stadium for both, who also then opened a hockey arena out in Sunrise, and then owned that team as well. So that's not really the norm. When you look at professional sports, you have either you're looking at football or you're looking at baseball. And so that transition, some years later, when I came back to Tallahassee and working in collegiate sports, Lynn, who was able to be a female in male-dominated industry in terms of sales, because not just sports, but sports sales, you typically don't see a lot of women in that space. And so she's been a phenomenal role model. Even she and I, see each other, especially thanks to Facebook. We see each other and see what's going on with kids and everything. And it's just been great to notice her. Adrian Barr, who also worked with us. And then when we come local, right? So when we're working with Florida A&M, to be working with now the leadership of a female president. And because in successful Division I programs, the support that you have from the CEO of the athletics department, and that's actually what the NCAA refers to the presidents and chancellors of all of these programs as the CEOs of the program. And so to have President Mangum to support us the way that she does, that's very inspiring. And we actually, in Women's History Month, have several female presidents that will join our president next week, and to just interact with them. Savannah State's president
Powerful.
is a woman, and North Carolina Central, and having just come back from the MEAC tournament,
Right.
and seeing all of these powerful women, right?
Right.
Rosalind Fuse Hall,
Okay.
who's now at Bennett College, and we know the phenomenal women that
have
came
been
before
there,
her
yes, absolutely.
from that position. It keeps me motivated.
Okay, so you have
keeps me
a
targeted.
number of women to kind of look to give you some guidance
Yes.
and some that you admire. So that's good to know. Good
Yes,
to know.
yes,
So,
yes.
so tell me, now you're from Tallahassee, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
am.
what keeps you here?
Well, it's a great community. Of course, born in FAMU's hospital,
Wow.
FAMU
okay.
High K through 12, and then went across the street at the
Okay,
time
yeah.
to FAMU. I moved away, as I mentioned earlier, and my dad brought me back
Okay.
to Tallahassee.
Okay.
He said, "You don't have to come back." But being an only child and a daddy's girl, when I felt that I needed to be here with him, I came back.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
I've been back now 12, almost 13 years.
excellent.
Met a man, got married, wonderful man.
Hey.
Davin is awesome, and our daughter Dylan. And so it's a great place to be. Not only is it home, but Tallahassee is just an awesome place.
It is indeed. So tell me some of your inspiration and aspirations.
Inspiration and aspiration. So, you know, when we think about that, as I spoke about my father, so my parents were older, and so my experiences are different, right?
Indeed.
And so I have baby boomer experiences
Okay.
while being a part of Gen X. My dad was 50 when I was born.
Oh, wow.
And everyone that would see me as a child here in this community, everyone knows. And my mom was much younger, but still not, you know, she was mature like myself. I've kind of followed that pattern,
Okay,
because, you know, having a small child
Right,
in
right.
my mid-40s.
Okay,
And
okay,
so
I can see
with that, my experiences are just different. And so when I think about the civil rights movement, well, I didn't have to reach back very far.
Right.
You know, I had direct stories and listening to my father and my uncles and my aunts talk about, because my dad's from Alabama, my mom's from Georgia, and so he, you know, lived my perspective of what happened in Montgomery, right? It is a little bit different. What happened in Selma? I mean, we used to go through Selma all the time on the way to his home stead, and so
That's very rich.
with that, my inspiration it comes in the fact that when we think about Martin Luther King, right, and all of the things we celebrate him, national holiday, that he was only 39. So all of these things that we celebrate, we celebrate in a person who was only 39 years old.
Still very young.
When he passed, right, or when he transitioned. And so with that, that inspires me
Okay.
to do what we can to continue things forward. Again, with my parents being a part of this community, you know, what is it now that my husband and I and our friends can do to move this community forward, so that our children, right, have something that they can say, yes, my parents
Good deal. Good deal.
were a part of building this
Excellent.
space. So.
Yes. All right, good deal. So tell me, what is some of the best advice you've either received or given?
The best advice I received in action and words was to work hard and do your best, and that came from my mother. And so in receiving that, I try and give that as well. I worked, when I first moved back to Tallahassee, for an insurance brokerage firm that subscribes to the notion of meritocracy. And that, you know, your response is based on the merit of your production and of your performance, right? And so as we put forth our efforts and our projects and activities, that we want to always put the best product forward. And so with that, if I were to transition into something fun, right, and advice given, as I have friends that get married, as I have friends, and when we talk about relationships and that kind of thing, We always hear people say, and I know this is off, but we always hear people say, "Oh, they complete me," or they, you know. And so, I heard someone say that if you have a circle, and if you are completing someone else, or this is my better half, or this is my other half, if you have two halves and you put them together and there's a line down the middle, then technically it's really not complete because you can still separate it. And so then that advice that we move forward is, if you are a circle and you're with someone that's also a circle, well, wouldn't you have a more solid relationship? So I kind of like to pass that on as something, you know. I don't know.
I like that. Yes,
that
no,
we
definitely
can share.
you being complete within yourself before
Sure.
hooking up with somebody else.
Or in a team that you're working with.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, especially with what we do in
That's an
athletics.
excellent example.
Sure.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Okay, so we're at Nefertari's. This is your
Yes.
first royal dining
First,
experience.
yes.
So let's talk food. What's your
Okay.
favorite dish? What food do you like?
My favorite food would probably be oysters, just
Really?
period. Oysters, raw,
Okay,
steamed,
okay,
fried
okay.
oysters.
Good
You know,
deal.
my favorite lip gloss is even called Oyster Girl. I mean, I don't know. I think that's just it's just a good coincidence, right? But my favorite dish has to be a nice steak. I mean, I am in love with a nice steak.
Okay, excellent.
I love all the best steak houses, you know, and I just really
deal.
like that.
All right.
Yes.
So, again, on the food wave or link, if your life was a spice, how would you describe it?
Well, as I look at this salt shaker and this pepper shaker, now the first thing that comes to mind would probably be salt,
Okay.
right? And not in what you would first think as salty, but in a way that you can't necessarily, when you deal with salt, and I try to cook, right? And some people say,
y'all heard that.
some people
Angie
say,
tries to cook.
some people say I do a pretty good job, right? And adding salt to it. Salt is something that I think works best when you put it in first.
Okay.
And if you think grits, if you think rice, if you think all of that, right? When you put the salt into the water and you cook the food, that will give it the best flavor. You can't cook the grits and then add the salt. I mean, you can, but it kind of goes away. You know, I like to be with my team. I like to be with my people from the beginning,
Okay.
so that we can have, you know, our successes, our experiences, and everything together. And hopefully that I can add a flavor to it from the beginning before you add everything else into it. But at its base, that even, you know, in other spices, right, you describe them as salty or not. Even in the other, you'll get a salt from butter, or you'll get a salt from other things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be rock salt, but in general, people will find, you know, that salt taste in good things.
Excellent. Love it. Well, I believe our food is here.
Oh, wow,
So
this is amazing.
we are going to have to talk with you all later and converse, have a conversation with Nicole at another time. Thank you so much. All right.
This is amazing.
This crab cake.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
looks really good.
It does.
It's a shrimp and grits.
Oh, wow. Oh, that looks
it
great.
does. Look, those side items look
That
really
looks
good.
great.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
let's partake.
Thank you.
Thank you.